Deathwatch.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'll be your GM for today. For this, the 14th episode of A Prophecy of Dusk and Dawn. I'm going to let my players introduce themselves.
I am Brandon, and I'm playing Landon Velox, a young nobleman from the north.
I'm Travis. I'm playing Hadrius Elenius Ordius, a humble merchant from Maris Oris, and if everything goes according to plan, I will get some wagons and a small loan from a lord, and worry about paying all that back another day, if at all.
That's future Hadrius's problem.
Right.
And I'm John playing Dane Glass, who was once known as Jardane. He's the best of the royal alchemists. And I'm just happy to be here.
All right. Eb El-Kadir sat cross-legged on the ground inside a small copse of trees near a crossroads. It was here that his prey had vanished, spirited away by some unknown means. If a wanderer were to stumble upon him, as he was now, that wanderer would think him a man in foreign dress who had simply fallen asleep where he sat. But that was not the case. Ab El-Kadir had little need for sleep these days. The blessings bestowed upon him by the Moss had seen to that. But even if it hadn't, the horrors that had been acted upon him deep inside the den would have done the job. Now when he did sleep, it was the den of which he dreamed. Horrible nightmares where he was ripped and hacked apart, only to be put back together. But the man that had been done to was long dead, and only Eb El-Kadir remained. Now it was not the act of sleeping that he partook in now. He was still very much awake, but the body cannot function without a soul, and currently his was far from where his body sat. Little more than a shadow, blacker than the darkest night, his spirit moved northward through the spirit realm, faster than the human eye could perceive. He stopped only long enough to sniff out the scent of his prey, though here in the spirit realm, doing so was unnecessary, as scent did not exist. But it was how he was used to tracking in the waking world, and the familiarity aided him in his search. One moment he stood amongst the spectral forms of some army, encamped outside an old city. The soldiers there were asleep in the waking world, but it mattered not, for the people in these savage lands had long forgotten the means to sense the spiritual. To them, in his current form, he was as of the wind, unseen. He was near the castrum now, and some caution would be required. Though many of the ancient structures lay dormant in the current era, they were never fully asleep, and if he was seen as a transgressor, it may try to retaliate against him. He caught the scent of his prey, and he leapt forward again, the world blurring around him, and when he landed, he found himself outside an old inn. Ab El-Kadir knew this building was old by how solid it appeared to him in the spiritual realm. His prey was inside, recently returned unless he missed his guess. Another leap brought him into the room where the three slept. One was little more than a ghostly wisp. Casting his gaze to the other one, the thief, as the boy king had called him, Eb El-Kadir was shocked to see his aura changed. Now a faint shimmering hung in the air about him. It was familiar in some fashion, a riddle for another time, perhaps. But the thief was unimportant to Eb El-Kadir, and he now shifted his eyes towards his prey, its aura stained with the mark of the Maw. Swift as a snake, he lashed outward towards that aura, toward the vital arteries and veins that would be in his prey's throat. His target, still living in the waking, he felt no resistance as his hand passed through the air, his son of a bitch. His hand lashed outward towards the vital arteries and veins housed in the throat. Disappointment filled the man as the hand passed through without any resistance, his target still living in the waking world. How he longed for the forgotten knowledge, lost the distant past, when the devotees of the Silentium could rip the souls from their targets, sending them directly to the Maw. Yet this act wasn't without its rewards, for the specter of his prey blurred, and when solidified again, Jardane sat in bed, casting about in the darkness with unseeing eyes. Landon, it's the 28th.
Okay.
It's evening. And you were having Leodin guide you eastward towards the Muros.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, I'm leading all these men off to try and rescue Duncan the Younger.
All right. So you walk for some time, and you are eventually able to reach the Muros. Like most rivers, you smell it first, before then you hear it, then you see it. But its banks on this side are fairly shallow. It's not like a steep drop-off. On the other side, it's beginning to incline fairly steeply. But on this side is fairly shallow, sloped bank. And the danger of the Muros has always been the speed at which it travels, which right now is fairly rapid. There's little in the way of safe places to cross the Muros.
Okay. Alright, so from here we turn north, right?
Yeah, follow it
Okay.
northward.
Alright, so then, so at this point, then, I need to send out some scouts. So, I'll have, I'll talk to, I forgot his name, Felix.
Mm-hmm.
And curse my memory. What's that captain that I've been with? Fields, yeah. Fields and Felix. And say, now from here we go north. And so we need to send out, if you have any men that are skilled at scouting that can remain unseen, we need to send some out ahead of us, because I don't know how far north they are. But I'm reasonably convinced that they're still on this side of the river because of how difficult it is to cross, so we'll need to pick up the speed and get our scouts out.
Felix quickly agrees, and he has Fields. He gives Fields orders to go about selecting one. You hear Theo and Samuel's names mentioned, and Felix also, Felix also. He splits the scouts, so some will go to the north. Some will go further out towards the more northward than northeast, which is kind of where you're following the river. It's kind of angling to the northeast. And then he'll even send a couple to watch their backs.
Good idea.
Is there anything else?
No, but I did have a memory while I was thinking about this session of when I, in the spirit world, had come across Chelsea's and this group.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if I just glossed over it while we were playing, but Chelsea's had been saying something to whoever's in charge of the group that had captured them, right?
Yeah, I believe he was saying something towards Duncan the Younger.
Okay.
He was basically, it was words of encouragement. You need to get up, you need to keep walking, or you're going to die.
Okay, yeah, good. Because I had a thought that he was calling my lord the one who'd captured them, and I thought maybe he had betrayed me. But
no, he hasn't betrayed you yet.
Okay.
But we could have you think he betrayed you.
Yeah. No, not if I don't have to. But yeah, that's all. We just need to get scouts out, and we need to push on and see if we can catch up to them without them knowing.
This is a windshield. Could have found a duck stomach.
right. So, you're doing that. You're continuing your march northeastward along the Burrows. Solar is beginning to set. Can you give me a spot or sense? And also, if sense can be used to complement spot. If you want to do it that way too, I'll leave it up to you.
Okay. And how do I do when I want to do that?
So when you complement a skill, it gets 1/5, and so you just add that bonus of the complementary.
So I can use sense to complement spot?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then I'll roll sense.
No, you don't. Okay, you're going to roll.
Or I'll add 1/5 of my sense to spot?
If you wanted to roll spot, yeah. But you can also just roll sense. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll just roll sense. That makes more sense. Since I'm going to be clicking that button anyway. Yeah. Failure.
All right. So there's a tangle of emotion up ahead on the bank of the river. And it looks like something happened there. You get lots of desperation, pain, sick, like nausea, but you don't find anything immediately that would be the linking of it. It could have just permeated the ground. But usually in the past, it's usually something.
Mm-hmm. And that's along the bank?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll be walking through it here.
All right. I'm getting a strange feeling. Keep your eyes open. Something foul happened here. Maybe. Or maybe it's just indigestion from the breakfast. But, this whole thing is really new to me, so, I'm not I wouldn't be 100% certain what I was feeling anyway when it comes to this stuff. But yeah, I do want to, keep my eyes open in case I can see any signs of something that would have led to those feelings,
All right.
But now that we've got scouts out and we've got the river to guide us north, I want to, walk beside Leandon and I try to, open up a conversation with her about what happened last night, right? How she just disappeared and that sort of stuff. And see if she had the same experiences with Luna that I did. But I don't just want to come out and be like, hey, did Luna come and talk to you? Because that's crazy, right? But, I want to sort of just open a conversation and see if I can get any information from her on what her experience was.
All right. Well, I was kneeling down to pray, and I was hearing all those beasts in the woods, and I was praying to Luna for protection, and I felt a presence come over me, and I felt that sudden urge to and she's kind of having problems describing what exactly it was, but you get the sense that she didn't see Luna.
Okay.
She didn't hear Luna. It was more like an idea or a feeling came to her, and the presence of Luna was there.
Okay.
But,
and then do you know how you ended up out of the clearing and through the Leshy to find these people in the middle of the night?
I kind of just got a vision or an urging that they would be just off to the west. Saw the light of Luna shining, so I ran.
It's a good thing that none of the creatures of the Leshy found you.
I felt that Luna was with me and that I wouldn't be hurt.
Okay, so then at that point, I'll get real close. I don't want anybody else hearing, but I'll say I know exactly what you mean. As it happens, I had an odd experience myself last night. I get the sense that you know more about Luna than I do, but this is what happened, and I'm having trouble making sense of it. I wonder what you thought about it. Like in the moment, it seemed to make perfect sense that I would, pledge my loyalty and, but now that I've had some time to think about it, I'm wondering what I actually have pledged to and what the consequences will be. What sort of a master is Luna?
Well, Luna's a caring, passionate goddess. She got humanity through the times after Soul's death when the abyss surged forth and covered the face of Terra. She's not cruel. She'll not abuse you. That's your worry.
I'm so ignorant that I don't even know what I should be worried about. So I don't know what's in store for me. But obviously, Luna's taken an interest in both of us.
Well, if you'd like, I could teach you.
Yes, please.
Yes. Yes or no just pops up.
Press F to say yes.
All right. Is that something you'd want her to start doing now?
Well,
she would probably wait.
We're a little busy right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I want to do.
Alrighty. Let's see. Dang it. Alrighty. Oh man, excuse me. Did you find a pipe before you set out from camp, or was it something else? I can't quite remember.
That does sound familiar.
Okay. So, one of your men does stumble upon something as you're passing through the knot of emotion.
Yeah, we did find when we were digging up the stuff, when we were digging up the corpses, I found a pipe.
All right.
Yeah.
So, one of your men does find something in that area. He kind of just stumbles across it. It was pressed down into the mud, and it's a leather pouch with a bladder.
Okay.
Most of the contents inside has spilled out, or spilled out into the mud when it was dropped.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's causing the knot of emotion. It's been imprinted onto it.
Okay.
So if you want to see what
Yeah.
that emotion is,
Yeah.
you need to do a sense on it.
Yeah, like I'll pick it up and look around the area and see if I can focus this sense ability to gain any useful information.
All right.
No good. Too distracted. There's too much going on.
All right. So,
but this would be like, does it have any markings on it?
yeah, it has the House of Low, the seal of House Low.
Okay, so obviously, based on what I had seen in the spirit world or whatever, I'd think that was called. They're on a forced march anyway. So,
But for this, I've kind of gone back and I've reworked how visions are working, and so I've given them all potencies now. And so potency is how it affects you based on your sense roll. So like lower level ones, they kind of peter out and they don't force the vision on you, but stronger emotions can.
Okay.
And you can even be hurt by them. So you can use your sense to modify that, where you can still retain your ability to be aware of the world around you and stuff like that. So this one is strong enough to where it is going to try to force itself to be viewed. Yeah. And you would lose all sense of yourself. You would become the imprinter for the purposes of the vision.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
So this is a fairly strong emotion, and it's desperation, longing, almost something akin to starvation when you're looking at it, but different, right? It's not food that this person, the imprinter, hungers for. And then the vision takes you over. That sense roll was you kind of trying to tamp it down, make it manageable, and you just fail, and this wave of imprinted emotions wash over you. Yeah. And suddenly, you're standing on the banks of the Muros. Your hands are bound. You're marching. Your entire body aches, and your stomach rolls as the world tilts and heaves with each step. Again, your hands reach for your pouch, and you bring it up to your face. But they fumble for a bit, trying to find a pipe that you dropped earlier. What you wouldn't give now to sit down in your chair back in your manor. Light a sliver of wood, hickory, being your preferred choice, as it lends an almost meaty taste to the smoke. Sit down with this pouch in your pipe and just let your eyelids grow heavy and your mind drift. Take that first puff and just lean back in that chair and sink into it. But currently, the whiff of rotting fish breaks that fantasy, and without warning, you vomit. It splatters all down the front of your nice doublet and your ceremonial armor. It's not the first time this has happened, and now a little more than bile comes up. Luckily, you managed to get the pouch out of the way in time. It's nearly empty. In fact, it basically is empty, and with shaky hands, you dig into the sticky residue that's left on the inside of the bladder of this pouch from whatever the mixture of herbs, and you think it's molasses or honey that's also mixed in with it. But it creates an almost tar-like residue on the inside of the pouch, and you dig at it with your fingernails that collects in this pouch, and you come away with about a pea-sized just glob of that substance. And without hesitation, you bring that to your mouth and you suck on the fingernail, chew on the glob until it dissolves. And it's the sweetest flavor you've ever tasted. Almost immediately, the pain is pushed back. It remains, but it's not nearly as strong. It's dulled. The queasiness kind of leaves you for a second. Again, you see your hands go back into that pouch and start scraping. You find some chunks of the substance that you smoke in a corner, and you add that to the glob that you're gathering. And again, greedily, you bring that back up to your mouth and you suck on the nail, getting every bit that you can out of it. And then a sudden spasm racks you and your muscles seize up and the pouch gets dropped. And almost immediately you step or your knee follows down next to it. And someone starts yelling at you, back on your feet. We'll have you beat morning, noon, night if you don't keep moving. And the vision fades as someone starts helping you back up. But now you're just a mess. You're shaking, and the pouch had to be left where it was. It's now stomped underfoot.
Okay.
And so, because of the seal on the pouch, you're pretty sure you know who left the memory. And he seems to be in a very bad way. You already knew this from an earlier vision.
Yeah.
But now you feel it, and it feels like hell, like the worst sickness you've ever had.
Okay.
Maybe worse than that even.
Yeah. And am I back to me now?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was Duncan?
Yeah.
And so now that I'm back to me in my young and naive mind, what can I surmise from this? That this is some substance that he's addicted to, or that it's a medicine that he needs?
The idea of addiction in this world is not really solidified.
Okay.
But there's you would probably think, at the very least, from what memories of him that you got from the imprint, he feels that the medicine he's taking, whether he smokes it or chews on it as he was, keeps that feeling at bay.
Gotcha.
Right? Would be how you would probably think of it. But yeah, whatever it is, he's deep in the thralls of addiction.
Okay.
By our standards. This was, let's see, I think it was this vision took place, I think, probably about the same time, but a day or so passed, or multiple days passed, at least. I think it'd be almost 6 or 7 days ago now.
Okay.
It was like I think it was the 24th, so 4 days ago.
Okay.
And you can see from, because you had a memory of him, I believe I told you about Castrum Noctis, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you saw that in the distance as well.
Okay.
And so you're, figuring based on the size and distance, you can roll an idea, normal, or a...
Okay, success on the idea.
All right. You're figuring that if you keep walking at this speed, based on the size that Castrum Noctis is currently, to what it was in the vision, the other vision where he was near the camp, that early morning of the next day, so at 2 a.m., 2 to 4 a.m., if you march nonstop.
We should catch them?
Yeah, you'd catch them right around 2 to 4 in the morning, if you wanted to do that.
Okay, and what can I do to determine if that would do us any good?
Strategy could be one.
Like, will we be able to see what moon is going to be out tonight?
Okay. Luna is always hard to predict.
Yeah.
So...
Will there be a lot of cloud cover?
It doesn't look like it. Not right now, anyway. So... And there's no real clouds on the horizon. It's still fairly warm, clear night.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll speak with Felix and get his thoughts, because he's actually, probably better than me at this, right? Seems to be wiser than I. So I'll go speak with him, and I'll say, if we march through the night, which is not safe, which is dangerous, because this forest is dangerous, but if we do, we should be able to catch this group somewhere between 2, 4 in the morning. What do you think? Now, they are moving toward Castrum.
No, they're just camped near it.
They're camped near it?
Yeah. Castrum Noctis is on the other side of the burrows. It's inaccessible unless they're, doing something special that you don't know about. So.
Right. Okay.
But all the visions you saw, they stopped at a camp that was in a bend near the burrows.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'll tell them. That's where they're going to stop, and we should be able to catch them if we march through the night. I don't know how much longer Duncan the Younger can last.
Alright, so in Felix's face you see the unspoken question of, how do you know this? But he tamps that down. He's like, morning is a good time to launch surprise attacks, my lord, or sir. But we have been marching all day already through fairly rough terrain.
Yes. Yes, we have.
At the end of the day, I will leave it up to your discretion.
Well, what... I don't know their destination. You know, my biggest worry is that they're moving towards more of their people. And it would be worse for us if we didn't catch them before that.
It is quite possible. I hear that brigandry has been on the rise ever since Alexander attempted to overthrow any sort of common sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, let's do it.
As you wish, Commander.
Yeah. The men are strong. They can do it. These are Velox men.
Indeed, they are.
We need to travel through the night. Everyone needs to be diligent, not get separated, and then we need to attack in the morning.
While they're hopefully asleep in their beds.
Well, I know that these people they've taken captive are slowing them down, and they don't know we're pursuing. So they're maybe not moving as quickly as they could. So let's do it. That's the plan.
It will be done.
Okay.
So he turns and gives orders, informing the men that they'll be marching throughout the night, that they should have light sources prepared but not lit, and then anytime after midnight they should already take more discretion or caution on how much noise they're making as they'll be nearing. And the men give a affirmative, and you continue marching again.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Jardine. Oh, kind of jumped the gun there. Sorry, Travis.
No, you're good.
You're in a dream. You know you're dreaming. You're currently racing through the corridors of Castrom's soul. The once whitewashed walls of this hallway, this corridor, are now caked with a layer of gore. As you run, a sickly sloshing sound is made, and when you look down, you see that you're standing in knee-deep in a half-congealed soup of blood. In the distance, you hear the voice of Alexander yelling at something to find him. Bring me his head to decorate my wall. Bring me his flesh to adorn my shoulders. And from somewhere behind you, you hear a multitude of similar sloshing to the sound you are making, running your direction.
This is a room or like a corridor? Okay.
Yeah,
Do I recognize the corridor?
Yeah, you're fairly knowledgeable of Castrom's soul. This would be somewhere on the lower levels, near the audience chamber.
How, This is all, if I can, try to make my way deeper down into the building where we're like heading towards where our where those alchemist chambers were.
Okay. Yeah, you slosh onward until you reach a set of stairs, and it's like a waterfall, kind of just flowing down over the side. All this blood just seems to be endless. Down in the darkness, you can see a glimmer of light reflecting off the surface, and it seems to you that they're fairly filled, these chambers down below.
There's only one way to escape, though. Is all. How far down would it be until they? I would assume they are filled. Like, if I jumped, would I be submerged down? What, like, if, yeah, almost like jumping from a little waterfall into
a river?
Yeah. Like, would I submerge, or is there room? Can I tell?
I figure that you'd probably be about up to your neck.
All right. Yeah, I will try to jump down the stairwell then, and try to continue deeper.
Alrighty.
Best to be submerged in the blood, then let yours join the mix.
So, before you jump down, a quick look back down the hallway. You see like a cloud of smoke coming down the hallway at you. And from that cloud of smoke, you see fire and thunder booming, and it's causing your ears to ring. And then you jump down into the cascade of blood that's pooling down there, and you can roll just a no.
Failed.
Alright. So
can I push it?
Yeah, go for it. Okay.
Success.
So, because this is a dream, and part of you knows this is a dream, I'm going to keep it where both the push and the fail are still in your head. You know that both of them happen. And what that is when you first come up out of that pool of blood and look around, you just see thousands of corridors of various archways snaking around, stairs being where they shouldn't. And then when you push it, it all kind of just, it's like that 1 second, and then it's back to how it is supposed to be. Right? Just a couple corridors, 2, and you know which way to go on that. But the blood does make it rather difficult. So you rush down one of these corridors towards your alchemical labs, and you come to the door.
Is there any of it still showing?
The door? Yeah, barely. The top part.
I'll lift my hand out of the blood and draw that Ignis sign. Try for like 3 or 4 fairly small ones around the top part of the door, like the trying to get hopefully the effect of an explosion.
Alright. Did I give you the skill, Ignis?
Yes.
Alright, roll it.
No.
You got 2 more chances.
Yes. And a fumble. Ooh.
Okay. So, how big were you going to try it?
It's like a really sad looking horse.
Yeah.
Fairly small. Like the idea is like not in, I guess, game world knowledge, but like a small just a small, like, blasting charge, right?
Yeah, but I need
that was the hope of it.
The size of them is going to be determined by how many power points you're spending.
Oh,
and that's also going to determine their damage.
3 per.
Okay. So the first one fizzles, the power points are still spent. The second one, you finish, and you're able to solidify its form in your mind. But it seems like it wants something else. And so for that, you're going to need to roll your alchemy for me, Joe.
Success.
Alright, so you know that the rune Ignis does nothing without a modifier. You need another rune to draw upon that door that will affect the Ignis and tell it how to act.
Do I know this rune?
You do, and with that, you are able to succeed at it. So essentially, this would be a modifier rune that is fairly simple. It's used in alchemy, and it's how alchemists used to put various elements into other things, how they infuse them. And in your case, you would want to essentially charge it up. This is a charging rune that would empower it, and so you would spend at least 3 more points. That's what you were going for size, right?
Yeah.
All right, you'd spend 3 more power points to make it to scrawl this sigil, this rune.
What happens if I don't have 3 more? I've only got 1 left if I've drawn the 3, unless we want to retcon how many power points I spent before.
Well, you still had that one last roll, right? You hadn't gotten to that point yet.
Well, I'd done 3 rolls already. I had a failure, success, fumble.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the fumble yet.
Oh, okay. So what, I would just use the power points from that one?
Yeah.
Okay. As that works.
And then you'll probably knock yourself out when I force you to go for the next one. So yeah, you get that going. Roll. Let's see. This is a dream. Roll 3d6.
10.
Alright. The Ignis sigil glows, and in turn, the charge symbol that you put down also reacts to it, and it's a violent reaction. And it causes the top part of the door to just explode outward. Can you give me an agility?
Success.
Alright. Whether you dodge it or if it's just sheer luck, you're not quite sure. But you are not afflicted by any of the shrapnel from this explosion. And it's not like a big fiery explosion, right? It's like the door almost became superheated and just popped instead of bursting into flames or something, right?
Okay.
And a bunch of this blood begins to pour in through the door, or the new opening in the door, and unless you want to fight it, it'll take you with it.
Yeah, I'll let it go, and or let it take me along. Let's try to pull myself through. Actually, let's get into the alchemy quarters there.
Alright, with a thump, you land on the other side on the hard floor, stone floor. Roll spot for me.
Success.
Alright, you see something move in the shadows of the room.
Okay. Is there, what is around the room right now? Like, are there any alchemical items in here that I can use to, like, light a torch? Or a lantern?
Roll up.
Success.
Yeah, there's an actual lantern on the table if you want to use that.
Okay, yeah, so I'll head over to the lantern, and my idea here is, as long as it's the same that I'm thinking of, at least, it was to try and use the same exit that I had used to go and meet Hadrius.
Okay.
Try and escape.
Alright, so you light this lamp. It casts light as it should, but in most dreams, it's still odd. It's not proper light. And the thing you saw moving doesn't seem to be in the corner anymore. It seems to have disappeared on you. But you do have a pathway off to your right that you're sure will lead you back into the proper corridors and hopefully lead you towards the dungeon, which was where the exit was before for you.
Okay. So I will hurry on that way.
Alright, so as you're going, this place is beginning to fill with blood from the door you blasted open. You're sloshing around. You're heading towards the corridor. You see the dungeon entrance. It's a archway with another set of stairs that would go deeper down, and that is completely flooded. You can tell that from the light that's casting from the lamp. But that's not your destination. Your destination is a small alcove that seems to be a dead end off to your right. And do you remember how to open the door?
Believe that there was a stone that I could move or that came out and I reached into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alright, so you go down this hallway, you take the right, and you see this stone wall, and you know right where the stone is. You remove it, you reach your hand inside, and there's a lever on the inside that you can pull to unlock it. You pull up on it. Give me a strength check.
Was that effort?
That'll work.
Failure.
I think that happened last time, too.
Yeah, I think I had to do, 2 rolls or so to it.
Yeah. So you fail, just like last time. It's a horrible remembrance, because you were panicking pretty good.
Yeah.
You hear that thunder and sloshing getting closer.
Right,
And you hear sloshing even closer to you, like a single person. You can try again if you want, or did you want to do something else?
Yeah, try it again. It was
All right.
success this time.
So this time you yank up on that bar that's accessed the lock and door handle to this hidden passage, and you hear the clunk. And it doesn't swing open this time because there's enough blood forming on the floor here where you have to give it a little bit of a pull. And you open it up enough. And as you're pushing the door open enough for you to get into the secret passageway, you see a shadow kind of detach itself from a nearby wall.
I'll turn that way with the lantern held up and see what I see.
Alright, so it appears, as you sweep the light over it, to actually be a living shadow. Everything about it is complete blackness, like a dark room, save for where its eyes would be. Those kind of glow an orange, like a cat in a dimly lit room. You think they seem familiar. The thing is coming at you fairly quickly. It seems to be unimpeded by the blood that's forming around in this corridor. And it lashes out at you. So you can roll a dodge if you want. Okay.
No.
It has a hand, but it's almost knife-like in its appearance, right? Like a long, singular claw, almost. And it would strike you in the throat, and you feel like you've been dumped in an ice water bath, right? Just cold seeps out or spreads swiftly throughout your entire body, and you wake up. What was your guys' sleeping situation?
We had one room at the inn we were staying at.
Did you get cots, or are you just sharing on big bed?
I don't think we actually discussed it, but...
Well, I think I've spoken about before. In this time, one giant bed wasn't unheard of for many travelers that would stay at an inn. Most of the time, you would all be strangers to each other.
Right.
And kind of forced into bed. So, is that how you guys are sleeping, or do you have cots?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Force Ollie to sleep on his bedroll?
Well, he got to relax a little bit in the early part of the day.
All right, then. So, Jardine, you're sitting in that bed. The room is black. Nightmares kind of fading from you. Can you roll a sense for me? It'd be at its base, it's at its base for you, I believe, right? And you put points into it at character creation.
What is that under?
Sense? It's perception, I think.
Fail.
All right. In that dark room, after you just woke up, maybe it's a part of the dream still, leaving you, but you feel like you're being watched.
Well, I'll just like any good nightmare, is I'll cry out and sit up and put my hand to my my throat where he'd slash me.
Okay. It's numb, but everything seems to be in order.
And I'll cast about, looking around for this shadow. I'm not sure what the light situation is, but
it's whatever's coming through the window, which isn't much right now.
Did we have a like a fire place or anything in here, or a lantern?
You probably got a lantern, but fireplace is no.
I'll scramble up then and try to find where that lantern is.
All right.
And trying to think of how we would have done that. Is there like there's no fireplace? Is there like a striker or anything that we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is
probably
all.
Have a striker and tinderbox.
Okay, then I'll try to fumble that and light the lantern. Is breathing heavily the whole time.
All right. Yeah, you get that done. This is I'd say the hardest part about this for you is in the dark in a strange location, but you get the lantern lit. It's a decent room compared to what you guys have been used to sleeping in. On the second floor, I believe I said, of this place. Your companions, Hadrius and Ollie, are quite possibly still asleep, unless you wanted to wake up. Are you a light sleeper, Hadrius?
Probably not.
I'd say Ollie's aware, but still asleep. You probably woke him up from, or got him out of REM sleep.
Yeah, I'll if there's any corners that have shadows, I'll try to light them or alight them with the light of the lantern, as just put myself at ease, make sure that there's nothing that's gonna detach itself and try to murder me this time.
All right. All the corners remain as they were during the daytime. Empty. You check them.
No, now I'll wake Hadrius.
All right. So, Hadrius, your sleep is disturbed by a haggard and possibly sweaty Jardine.
Those crazed eyes and hair. Hadrius, wake up!
What is it, Dane? What? It looks like the sun's still down. Is it still down?
Oh yeah, it's probably about midnight.
What are you doing? You're supposed to be sleeping, man.
They're watching us. They have eyes everywhere.
You have a condition, I think. Like I told you the last time, the Emperor is not here. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sleeping in this bed or in this room. The king, I mean, not Emperor. Or was he an Emperor?
King Rex.
Right.
I was maybe not here in this room, but don't you feel it? As you feel the eyes on you?
I do not, Dan.
Actually, you can roll sense if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start to say that, and...
Does this session end with two of my players picking at themselves and tinfoiling over windows?
I don't feel anything except a pressing urge to return to sleep. As you should, Dane. Clearly, not all is well. No more rest, breakfast in the morning. You should feel much better.
Maybe a drink first. As figure this is enough time has passed that the urgent panic is over, and some logic starts to take hold. As maybe a drink first, Hadrius. I'm sorry that I disturbed your rest.
Well, maybe that's a good idea, but unless you're willing to go knock it around the town or try to rouse our host, I don't know anything can be done for it. He did have some wine he felt was beneath our taste.
You could roll a lot. Maybe there was some that was brought up and left, like a jug of water and a jug of wine.
Well, let's see. Did Ollie drink it all?
Yes, he did.
That was probably the most foolish reason to use it, but could I roll, or could I use my spider luck?
Oh, you're, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So you roll the what?
Success.
Wine of the clear mind.
So, you distinctly remember Ollie, "Hey, boss, you going to drink this?" And you're like, "No, have at it, Ollie. It's already taken care of. You have more pressing issues to worry about." And maybe it's because he had been fairly clean for the past month or so, but he took a couple sips and basically passed out right to sleep. And so there is, in fact, a large remainder of wine in the jug.
So I'll grab the jug. Do we have cups? I'd imagine travel cups at least. Okay. Yeah, I'll pour myself one, and then I'll look to Hadrius and kind of lift the jug.
No thanks, young Dane. I presently going to return to sleep if you're quite all right.
I think I'm better. Again, I'm sorry for waking you in that way, and I'll down one glass and then pour one more.
Well, since you have me awake and we've both slept on it, have you arrived at a decision about that thing we were talking about? Shall we venture to be criminals who live a short life but with untold riches, or shall we stay on the straight and narrow?
So I'll take a second looking at the fresh poured glass of wine, and I'll pour a second and walk over and hand it to Hadrius and say, I think a short adventurous life would be better than living to old age at this point.
Well, here's to that. A short life I'll toast.
And I'll toast as well, and not down the whole thing this time, though. Did nice, healthy long gulp, and then ask Hadrius, I can make the goods, but where do we start?
Well, here's my rough plan so far, and you interject if you see any obvious glaring issues, but we'll throw ourselves upon the mercy of the Lord for a small loan and perhaps the use of some of his wagons. I think I might have the credentials enough to make it seem like we're not just beggars coming to ask, but actual merchants, as we are, not a lie. And we'll begin an honest trade that will act as a cover for what else we do. I think there are a few issues the Lord should be concerned with that a good tradesman with the right knowledge of particularly people in the East speak their language. I can write, I can count. How couldn't he use us? Anyhow, that's an aside. And then I suppose what I need to know is if you can make it, how and what you need to make it. Not the details exactly, but tools, where it might be done.
To get us started, I could use an older method. I just need some charcoal and some very good bindings and wrappings for it.
Should be noted that you actually don't have proof of that. You just feel that it might work.
That's what I'm going off of at this point. Is I know that it was used at one point, so I'm hoping it could be again. But in the longer term, right, and I'll start listing off the ingredients that I would need, and where such may be found. As we should definitely check the dye shops around here. For some of the material, and the charcoal is pretty easy to get, and then for others, we may be able to find more naturally.
Well, I imagine it would be difficult to buy those all at once, given if somebody is knowledgeable of what they create, and also we would have to do it with what profits we make from the rest, our cover venture, if that can even be arranged.
The charcoal I can create from our fires, and it'll take some time to get
you
a
truly
good amount.
are a wizard.
But if we visit a dye shop, I may be able to acquire some of the other items that we need there. I don't know if they would be charging, and at least they didn't used to. Well, I never changed hand, or money never changed hands from me, at least. And I'll drink some more wine.
It's a front, so it's property of the steward, now king.
Yeah, it's like completely controlled, right? So there is no commerce in it that isn't on the black market.
Yeah, so like right now you're in a very gray area,
right?
Where, especially like this area, the laws of the king no longer apply. So it's technically not illegal for
That's what I'll say.
Hadrius, or for Jourdain or Hadrius to deal in any of this stuff, because the steward no longer exists and the laws of the king, Lo isn't beholden to. Now, Lo might want to control that.
Right. That's what I'd be concerned about.
A good potential person to sell to if you could negotiate it to where you aren't immediately forced into servitude, essentially, under him. Right.
Right.
Because a lot of these areas do have gunmen, musketeers, that are trained to shoot and operate cannons and muskets and all of that stuff. But they usually aren't kept in enough powder to make it something that they can constantly practice in and excel at, right? And that's done on purpose. So him, any of the other noble houses that are out this way, Lachlan, Bellis, Keegan, they would all be potentially good houses to sell to or allow your trade to be applied to. So that's up to you on that. As far as potential other investors or people you could sell to, I'm sure a lot of brigands roaming around would like to have guns, but that's a whole different thing altogether, right? That's a much larger production. The nobles already have guns.
And the security expenses would be quite high, I feel like, to deal with them.
Proque Orientum, if you could get off to the east, would be another good one. The Sultan would definitely love to have guns. He's far outside the reach of the crown. He isn't beholden to the church, which would also be another good investor. But you're kind of in the wrong area now, right? Like, the time for this discussion probably would have been before leaving Domus Solis, if you wanted to discuss, like, selling guns to the church.
Right. Well, the main thing, Dane, is we have to have wagons, and that's going to all depend on if we can get a small loan, either from the Lord, and I dread to think about it, the bankers, but we will see what the day holds for us. As soon as we feel ready, and it's appropriate to do so, we'll head out to humble ourselves before this Lord. I as the merchant, you as my apprentice, Ollie, the steadfast guard. One can dream of a dozen wagons and the teams to drive them, but I'd settle for 3.
Would be nice to be traveling again, as I must say that I do miss that. And I'll finish off my glass of wine and say it's now that is settled. Maybe it was that was giving me restless sleep.
Yeah, I can see how that might be the case, as I don't think I'll be returning to sleep now that my mind is racing on the subject. But nothing for it but to wait, I suppose.
So you can see Duke's low.
Yeah, we'll try to.
Alright, so are you going to go first thing? Or...
Yeah, we'll try to have a chance of being seen today, because I imagine it is first come, first serve, maybe.
Do you want to roll luck to see if we stayed up all night polishing off that wine?
No, I don't. I figure part of my sleight of hand is making it appear like I'm drinking,
It naturally goes down like your thumb off your elbow into
another bottle, and then I sell that at the next tavern.
Into another bottle, I should say, into the chamber pot.
Right.
It could go there too. You could rebottle it from there, perhaps. No one would notice the difference with this cheap stuff. Alright, so do Patrick's plans to go back to Jardine, or are you going to finish off that wine?
No, just what was in my glass, and then I'll try to go back to bed as well.
Alright, so I'm not going to impose a penalty on this. You're able to wake up. Are you going to wake up before morning or at dawn?
Whatever. Well, I think I either mentioned or thought about mentioning having the innkeep rouse us at first light or before first light, so we could go appeal before the Lord our particular issue.
So yeah, the innkeep will wake up fairly early if you wish to be woken up.
Yeah, just right before first light then.
So it's probably about 5 in the morning.
Okay.
When a knock comes at your door, he's still in his night clothes. He had just woken up when he knocks on the door. Told me to wake you up at first light. It's not quite there yet, but it will be by the time you're dressed.
Thank you, my good man. Is there any breakfast to be had this early?
You could sup on what I do, what I break my fast with, which is simple bread with honey. No?
Yes, please bring it.
Brought to you right away, my lords. A short time later, another soft knock happens on the door, and the stable boy is holding a tray.
Okay.
A loaf of bread. Looks like from last night, probably.
I'll give him one of my meager pennies. And take a look at Dane and Ollie and myself and see how we all appear. Ask Ollie, is there any chance you might put that cloak on, Ollie? We're about to put ourselves before a lord. And
so, if you want, Ollie can't, but if you guys want, you can roll Lux to see if you have proper spare changes.
Okay. It's the only thing I kept on my person.
Alright, so, yeah, Hadrius, you have another spare set, a clean set.
Yeah.
And so do you, Jardine. And it's one of those where, Hadrius, if you want, you can roll an appraise.
Alright. Success.
Yeah, you could probably pay for about a week.
With those clothes.
Room for a week with just his doublet.
Oh,
pulling out.
Dane's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have him tuck that away if it exceeds. Might be difficult to explain in certain situations if the apprentice is rocking an awesome doublet.
Yeah, the doublet that he's currently wearing is still
pretty nice.
But it's weather stained. And looks a bit beat up. So.
Well, it will have to do, Dane. I think if the Lord hears our story, he might forgive such a state. There's nothing we can do about your face, Ollie, so... But could you wear the cloak?
I'll wear the cloak if you want, boss.
Well, we're going to see a Lord and put ourselves before the Lord. And I don't even know if this is a ruse anymore. You're the merchant guard, he's my apprentice, and I'm the merchant. That is Solar's truth. As far as I can tell. You wouldn't happen to know...
My nice set of clothes longingly, as I had hoped to wear them again.
Well, the idea would have been that you would have presented yourself to the Lord, in theory, right?
Yeah, that was the straight and narrow.
Yeah, so you would have wanted to look very presentable to whoever your new Lord was going to be. Now, apparently, it's a partnership with Hadrius the Humble.
Well,
yes.
In that case, Hadrius, as you've spent the most on our venture thus far, as I would offer these up to continue to fund this.
Well, never spend your own money if you can spend somebody else's money, I always say. So hold on to it for now, and I hope we can make a good enough case. We shall see.
Jardine, as you were fumbling around in your bag to get out your cleaner set of clothes, did you remember what all he packed, or was it kind of a blur for him, just as he was preparing to escape?
Some of it was a blur, as I believe I still had my mechanical repair kit and sketching kit in there.
I just need enough to know if I can add anything or not. You find a book in the bottom of your bag. It was something that you had been perusing before you had decided to accept this transference over to this new Lord back when you were still tucked away in Hashbrook's soul. Can you roll... Oh, no. You got it. Roll. The title of the book is the translation, or the translation of the Memoirs of Tullius the Mad. It is a old book translated from the old tongue, the Ventus Lingua, into the
How do you
modern
spell... what was this guy's name?
Tullius. T-U-L-I-S. I believe. T-U-L-I-S. I'll get you a proper spelling here in a second.
Okay, and sorry, it was a... Go ahead.
Oh, what was your question?
Oh, I was just saying, it's a book or a journal, a diary?
So the proper spelling is T-U-L-L-I-U-S. It is a mixture of alchemical and arcane. Arcane, I'll go with documentation, right? Experimentation would also be another word, mixed with a journal. So the very first page opens with a man by the name of Dursus, and the entire first page is basically a foreword of him saying that it is with great duress and grievance that I translate this under threat of execution in its full and proper form. So it's basically him saying that he doesn't want to translate this, but he's being forced to do so, and to do so properly.
I'll say, as I didn't realize this was under here, or this was in here, but I'll pack it in with the on top of the clothes, as that way it's within easy reach when we finish this bit of business.
You know it is a blasphemous work, and if you want, you can roll a religion, history, or alchemy to just kind of get a little bit more, or see what you know about Tullius.
Success.
So you know of his alchemical works mainly, and he was the first of the Magi. It's part of alchemical lore dating all the way back to before it was actually called alchemy. He was one of the first men to kneel on the edge of the Cunabula as it still glowed white hot from Solar's descent, and he was blessed with the knowledge of the elements. He disappeared long ago, sometime after Solar sealed the abyss, and based on his ravings in this book, it's obvious to know why he vanished. He began consorting with demons and trying to understand their kind.
I'll wait till later to explore that topic with Hadrius, if that's the way we go.
But yeah, so he is one of the most knowledgeable. He was the smartest of men.
Definitely a valuable piece of history and knowledge, especially now that we're going to start our own, hopefully, our own business here.
All right, now, Hadrius, roll, or actually both of you, roll a luck for me. Lots of luck. Now I'm going to take whichever one's lower. Okay. So you guys, leaving in the early morning, the line is fairly short, and you suspect that it will be by late morning that you are received. And as you're standing in line, you hear a few of the audiences that were before you.
Catch his mood. Might just have to dip out if things are going bad.
I like that you said that. That is partially the timing. So it's very early morning. He is, I wouldn't say a chipper man, but he appears to be in good spirits, and he is ruling fairly justly.
So is it mostly just disputes that he's, from the parts that we hear, that he's just solving, or are people coming and asking for charity for different things on occasion?
You're hearing a kind of a mix. The three that stand out to you mainly are a woman and her 3 children seeking workers for the field because her husband and all the men that he had working for him have been conscripted.
Right.
Another is an older man and his young grandson wishing to make a pilgrimage north. And the last one is a woman, and this appears to be a dispute, a woman claiming that the local baker is selling underweighted bread, and she wishes for that to be cleared up. You know from being a merchant that some local lords fix the cost of wheat in an area,
Right.
and by that they also fix the price of bread in their currency is kind of to that. So a baker underselling or underweighing his bread is actually fairly
Big deal.
Yeah, it's
You're
a big
messing
deal.
with the currency.
yeah. So
The gluten dollar.
So Lo doesn't appear to get. Well, he gets angry, but not overly so, right? And he has he sends his guard and a man, a marshal, to investigate and weigh the baker's loaves to ensure that they are the appropriate weight for their cost. And that, it seems fairly fair to you. And that is when you are called up. A young boy asks for your names and your reason for being here.
Yeah, I'll give Hadrius Ordius merchant, Dane Glass apprentice, and Ollie guardsman, merchant guard.
Alright, so the young boy goes out into the audience room for you and announces you. Hadrius Ordius of Marsaurus,
Yes.
merchant of Marsaurus, his apprentice, Dane Glass, right?
Yep.
Sorry, one in, 1 year out the other.
No, it happens to me. I understand.
And Ollie the guardsman. Ollie is, of course, has his halberd is asked to remain
Right.
out of the chambers, but they'll let him keep his sword.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll march forward and offer a bow appropriate to one that I know, probably, whatever we might do in Morris Oris.
Yeah, simple bow.
Thank you for seeing us today, my lord. I've come to appeal to your commercial interests, if you will hear my brief story and proposition.
Of course, it's not often we get merchants coming from the south these days, especially as far as Montezurus. It seems that many of you have taken in with Velix, and there's some venom in that.
Well, not I assure you, and as to not seeing many of us, I imagine I don't have to tell you the state of the lands to the south. We ourselves fell afoul of brigands and lost our trade, beeswax, salt, wool, simple fare, and we have come before you to, as I said, appeal to your mercantile interest. I am a trader, a merchant of some repute in Morris Oris. I don't know if you have heard of me this far north. Let's see how we go. 40%. I wouldn't expect, but I've done well down there. Unfortunately, lost my livelihood, at least until I can get back to Morris Oris on the journey up here. I can read letters. I speak the language of the men of the East, and if you would but lend me and my small company, my apprentice and guard, wagons and the means to purchase goods, and allow me to look perhaps at records, I could best make a decision that would benefit my lord. Humbly.
All right. Jardine, roll a status for me as well.
Success.
Can't outshine the master.
Should have let me wear my fancy clothes.
I regret to say that I have not heard from you, but then again, much does not come out of Mars Forest that reaches these lands. Given that your magnates have done all the outright abandon the roadways and trade to the north. Now with this rebellion, this rebellious king that has falsely and heretically taken a seat on the Sun Throne, I cannot say that I've heard of you.
I would not expect that knowledge of me has come this far north. Morosaurus is a tricky place to ply a straight trade, if you understand. I was robbed coming out of Morosaurus, if you can believe it. Partially why...
I can believe it.
Yes, my lord. Partially why I traveled this far north. I was looking for a place that I could make an honest living, and having heard your decisions prior to me, it seems I have come to the right place. I might suggest a short term of service that we try each other out. I could work in your employ for a year, perhaps?
And what is it you seek to trade in?
Whatever needs to be traded. I'm a man of numbers. I look at deficiencies, surpluses. I find what needs to go where and how much money I can get out of it. As I've said, I have some knowledge of the East, and forgive me, I'm not much for out of character for the geography here. I don't know what ports a place like Castrum Low would depend on for trade.
Castrum Low doesn't have ports.
Right, but they have a
Muros-
river, right?
Yeah, the Muros is too swift for there to be ports, and then everything to the west of it starts becoming dangerous falls. And eventually it will lead to essentially a cliff near the western side, and then goes out to ocean, or out to the sea. But they are big fishers. They do fish here.
Right. But I could take goods that you produce here and in the surrounding land to people who have not seen your goods. I could speak in their language, extol their virtues. As I have previously mentioned, I'm proficient in letters. I can even carry missives and write them myself if necessary. A dual purpose.
Roll your, what is it? I was an idiot when I was, and I think it's different from a certain character sheet. Lingua Orientis.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a roll.
Success.
He says part of a saying. It's essentially like the viper strikes when it's underfoot. It's like a merchant saying over there.
Something I could finish up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do so. If he leaves a pause there at the first half of it.
The Viper strikes. The Viper strikes when it's already underfoot, meaning that's almost been stepped on, and the rest of the saying is essential. But the wary merchant always spots it, essentially, because it's something to that effect. So yeah, you're able to finish it up for him. So it does prove to him that you've been to the Near East and that you do know the language. But he keeps looking at Jardine. Your apprentice, whereabouts did you come by him?
He's newly working for me. I know only what he's told me of his background. To lie or not to lie? I'll stick as close to the truth as I can. We both left Damas Solus at the same time. He with me because he showed an interest in the mercantile trade. Had more questions than any of my apprentices before.
Kind of silencing him.
Right.
What sought you? He's speaking to you, Sir Glass. What led you to take up the mercantile life, if I may pry?
Trying to think if there's a good answer for this.
If you want, you can roll an etiquette to give a fairly mundane answer, but you feel you're being baited. There's something that he's doing here.
Could I do etiquette for royal court to get an idea of where he's trying to go before I formulate the answer?
Yes, you may.
Success.
All right. There's something about you. You're not quite sure what, but he feels that, how would I word this, that your class is mingling with that of a lower class, right? There's something about you he sees as a higher class individual than Hadrius. So he's essentially wondering as to why you're lying down with dogs, essentially.
You dirty dog.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you passed your status, I believe. The cut of your clothes, even these cheaper weather-stained ones that you're wearing, are better than Hadrius's. So he's wondering as to why there's something you're not telling him, or is it desperation that you became a merchant? He's just kind of trying to puzzle that out. But he knows you should be better off than you are.
So, I guess I'll try to keep it somewhat to the truth as well, and say, my lord, we all seek a bit of adventure from time to time, before returning to our rightful place.
And that sense of adventure made you pick up and leave Damas Solis with a merchant you had just met?
I'm sure that you know the state of Damas Solis right now. It's not really the safest place to be, as this offers a much safer sense of adventure, if I may say.
And what did you do before you decided to pick up and become a merchant's apprentice?
As I built things. I'm trying to think if this, as I would imagine some of this is correct still, but small things, clockworks, mechanical parts.
What, clockmaker?
Yes.
Very well-to-do trade. And you decided to give up all of that for wool and beeswax?
Well, it started out as just a little bit of travel, but I must say that my time with Master Merchant Hadrius has been again very exciting, and decided to see a little more of it before again taking up my own trade.
He waves a hand to silence you.
Yeah, I'll quiet down.
royal court instincts kick in. Hand doesn't even complete the motion. And, Hadrius, how many wagons did you run before?
I had the first one in the north, more when I traded just around more Morris Oris. It depended on the trade on any given month. But it was just the one and hope, my lord.
One and hope.
I thought a better chance than to stay in Morris Oris amongst the thieves.
Mm-hmm. And how much do you wish from our little venture?
Well, to be honest, my lord, I had hoped for a dozen wagons.
And where would you take them?
That I do not know yet. As I said, I would like to look at your records to see what you make here, what the surpluses are. Then I could have a better understanding. Speak with the trade guild. I know in times of war, these things get quite difficult. The last thing you would want is to run out of necessary supplies. Things that I could assure you, if I knew all the relevant details, could be acquired.
He motions his seneschal over to him, and they put their heads together and they speak for a bit. Then he kind of waves the seneschal back. Roll a bargain, essentially.
Success.
I'll allow you access to the records. Seneschal Oswald here will see you to it. He will guide you to our record keep, or the courthouse in Southern.
Thank you, my lord. I will prepare my findings if you wish to look them over yourself.
I do, and then we will discuss how much this loan will consist of, and for how long our contract will be binding.
I understand, my lord. Thank you. Bow.
So before you're out of the room, a young boy walks past you and begins announcing.
Okay, the next people. Yeah.
So, Seneschal Oswald is I described him as a hawkish man. Oh, Osmond, sorry. He's of average height with a hawkish appearance. This look is enhanced by a small pair of spectacles perched on the end of his large pointed nose. He has a frown that never seems to leave his face. So he seems very put out that he now has to guide you and waste his day taking you to the courthouse, where usually a marshal or some such a judge of some sort would sit and go over various disputes that are brought to him of a different nature, right? Not like murders, assaults. These are the things that we usually brought there, but they also keep various records there. That's his thing. He is also usually the person who's in charge of taxation, and so those records are kept as well. And the seneschal is able to just walk past. He's known, and you are with him.
Okay.
And you can go about doing a research, or I can say maybe a mercantile skill, but at half to find the records you need. Kind of points you in the right direction.
Well, maybe we'll begin with research.
All right.
Let's see. Not that high. 46. Not bad either. So, of course, I roll a 70.
Are you going to help him out, Jordan?
I'll kind of, yeah, I'll give him a few things to, like, do you have a good research?
I'm looking to see if I have one right now.
Do you have any knowledge, Travis, or what all?
Not that would help. I mean, the only thing I could think that would be sort of sympathetic is
I've got
the ability
25.
to see value in things, so like an appraise or whatever.
All right, we'll go with that next. And it'll be at half, and it's you trying to. All right, so a lot of these records, well kept. Most of them just show a steady decline.
Right.
About 10 years ago, business just dried up. They occasionally get on land trade from domiciles, but almost all the trade from Mars Forest dried up. And so from domiciles, they get glass, they get livestock occasionally, the fields, but they don't really need it as much, so it's also traded back that way. Right? Business is drying up bad here.
Right. Within the last 10 years, you say it seems to begin from that point. What might we know about 10 years ago?
You know fairly well the Dukes Velix and the magnates in Mars Oris cut a deal, and Dukes Velix mapped out waterways through the coffin nails, which are a set of mountain ranges that are partially submerged and treacherous to sail big ships over. He mapped out the waterways at great expense.
So does this kind of cut where we're at now sort of out of trade that was occurring before then?
Yes.
Cash from low?
Almost maliciously so, in the sense that the magnates cut deals with House Velix to trade almost exclusively with him, because House Piscator, who Landon is currently marching with, have the bulk of a substance known as spermaceti, which is taken from the heads of whales, and it is highly valuable because it makes oil that is highly flammable and doesn't freeze. It as well makes various waxes and lesser oils. A lot of these are used for greasing of machinery, for gears for guns, for example, and a bunch of other type of stuff. And it doesn't clog up that machinery, that simple machinery, right? Whereas some other fattier greases will. So the magnates of Mars Oris want that oil. Then they go and they take it the rest of the world around. So occasionally you get merchants from the north, and occasionally, and even rarer from the south, by the land routes.
All right, I'll try. Well, I understand the problem here, Dane, but I need something to latch on to, so I'll try that half appraise.
Okay.
Got that one.
All right. They trade in metals.
From here, mostly?
Yeah, that seemed to be their big bulk, was metals, dried fish. Dried fish doesn't sell to the north or the south because they're coastal areas. They have all the fish they could want.
Yeah.
So what they had been doing was they had been making the dried fish into, in these eras, or in this time, ketchup was any sort of sauce, any sort of liquid that you put onto something, and they essentially make fish ketchup.
Nice.
And they ferment fish, they collect the juices, and they bottle it, and they sell that to Damas Solis. That's kind of out of the picture, but the metals you do think would be a big one. To the north, Velix, they have mountain ranges, they have metals of their own.
Right.
But to the south, Damas Solis and
Mars Oris,
they are lacking. And if you roll, that's a good success on your praise. Roll a luck. All right. The unfortunate side is that it's copper. That is their big export. Copper's fairly common, and the problem is it takes a lot of it
to be worth anything.
Yeah.
So 12 wagons is, or more, is a necessary amount.
But if you think you could risk it, and if you have guards, a large amount of copper towards Mars Oris might be able to be worth it. But you'd have to see the Mars Oris records, because actually roll another one.
Luck?
Yeah.
Got that one.
You know that from the Mars Oris records, you're being a merchant, you have access to them. House Velix doesn't sell in copper. It has substantial gold mines that it also sells in, but for the most part, gold isn't as big a deal. It's the spermaceti. Spermaceti currently is better than gold. So copper, you could sell it in Mars Oris.
Okay.
The question is it going to have enough of a price difference? So are we able to sell it at enough of a pricing, upscaling, whatever it is?
And that, Dane, will come down to us. We'll have to do a fair bit of talking if we can manage this one. But I'll kind of lay out the gist of it. So, we got to take a wagon loads of copper south to make it worthwhile to bring up the spermaceti. I suppose there's a few other things we could grab from the same type of people that would deal in that, ambergris, that sort of thing. But that's the gist of it. So the problem becomes traveling overland to Mars Oris. And we know exactly what that means. That we need protection. At least more than Ollie. But
we get through the what were they called? The lows again, though?
Well, we don't have to go we can skirt around the main issue, right, which was trying to get out of Damas Solus as near as I can tell, right? Once we were out of that, it was bandits, right? And if we're going to Morosaurus, we don't really have to deal with Damas Solis. It's the bandits that we have to deal with, which is a huge problem, but it's not professional armies or even conscripts. You just always have to look like a harder meal than the bandits were, willing to go after. So it'll take some time to put this all together. I have to write this up and make it look appealing for our Lord. Make him see the reason in it. So do you see anything in there, Dane, that you might be able to work your angle with? Because we'll have to have the bulk of the wagons he's willing to give us filled with copper. So there'll be precious little space for anything else until we come back. And that's when we should have more cargo space than we have cargo, given the exchange rate.
You're going to need cargo. You're going to need a wagon for food, probably, too.
Right.
Food and water, because you're going to, if you want more men.
So if there are things that are bulky and we have the coin, or not bulky and we have the coin to get it here, we can look at it here. But the big ingredients, we're going to have to hold off on those until we're in Morosaurus.
Can I do alchemy and maybe mechanical? Maybe there's something that I can also I guess either that or
gonna create.
Yeah, we'll stick with maybe just those two for right now. But something that I might be able to see that is used in some of the finer points of the firearms of the day, and then the alchemy for not just the gunpowder sourcing, but anything else that can be used.
This is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to let you choose. You can make one a complementary skill, which means it will get 1/5 of the skill and add it to the main skill that you're going to roll. Or you can roll one of those skills. If you succeed, I will make it an easy for the main roll. That's augmentating.
Okay, so the first roll that I make is at what multiplier?
None. Do you want to complement or do you want to augment? Augment will change the difficulty by 1. Complement will give a bonus.
I guess I'll do the complement, right?
Alright, so which skill do you want to complement?
I would think the alchemy would probably be the big one.
Alright, so take 1/5 of your mechanical skill and add it to your alchemy. That would be... No, finish up second. Sorry. Alright.
Special.
And what exactly was the angle you were going for?
And outside of the items for gunpowder, I figure I would be looking for those no matter what. But anything else that I know we have made, in Damas Solis, alchemy wise.
All right. You're able to see a bunch of different things that we use for alchemical creation. You have mountains, you have rivers, you have woodland areas in and around. You have a gigantic forest to the north of Moros, and all of these have an abundance of alchemical ingredients that you can make use of.
What I can think, Dane, is it's possible if you had something of higher value in our new endeavor we could sell while we're going along. We can ditch copper if the profit from it would be higher than what we're expected to get from the copper.
With the raw materials around, just that they have here, as with a bit of work and time, as I think that we could out-profit the copper greatly.
All right. Well, I think I got what I need. I'll signal to what was his name? Oswald, that we got what we need. I'll make a few notes in my ledger maybe about the juicy things I saw, so that I can write out my report to the Lord.
Yeah, and I'll add in some of the materials that you could get from those surrounding lands as well, that should be that should be, what am I thinking of? Gathered, right? As these are additional things that if he puts some time and effort into it, could easily turn him a profit.
What was the length of that journey? About a month or two, was it? From my point of origin at Morosaurus all the way up here.
If you wanted to just go straight, it's been about a month for...
Yeah, so maybe like half that, since we'd be skipping Damasolus.
So wagons will double 33 days is what it says. So you double, so it'd be about 2.
Right. So looking at close to half a year for each cycle. Okay. I think I have what I need, Dane.
So you're going hopper?
I think so. If that's what the rules determine for me, that will be... I'll illustrate the problem I see from looking at the records and how far it goes back, the whys of it, which a lot of it he would know, and then my solution to it.
Trying to transport that to Morosaurus.
Yeah.
Sell it there. You haven't been down there in a while now, because you left.
That was where I started, so however long that was, right?
Yeah, you left it's winter's end.
Yeah.
You reached it in Damasolus. So you haven't been there in about 3-4 months. So there might be price change. There might be potential other option of taking across the same profit
that way.
So you won't know when you get there. You might be able to check with a local merchant guild member.
Yeah.
There is one. You saw him. You passed through Old Town.
I remember that.
It was a joint counting house merchant.
Yeah, so maybe that's what I'll plan for, is to check in with them before I make my final report, and then we'll try to see him again tomorrow.
And Jardine is just trying to buy alchemical the Lord's Dime.
With the caveat that it has to be a small amount, something that you could stretch a long ways that would be difficult to find out, foraging for it. I don't know what that would be.
Well,
right. That was in character too, though. Just leaving that in Dane's wheelhouse.
All right, and that's where we'll end you guys for today. I think, unfortunately, all together here.
It's all right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But
thank you.
We'll just leave off with you, Brandon, Landon. It's the middle of the night. Luna shone full and bright and was able to allow you guys to safely, those of you walking along the banks, to see clearly with only the occasional foot becoming submerged. And as you walked overhead and down, eventually start smelling campfires in the distance. And it's at that point that Felix orders everyone to try to be quieter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we'll end with you guys on seeing up ahead the faint glow of those fires in the night. Want your spot?
Success.
And man standing on boulders that are kind of in the bend on the river.
Mm-hmm.
He's just standing there. He has a bow in his hand. Right now he's just kind of leaning on board.
It's like a sentry.
Yeah. That's
okay.
where we'll end. And we'll pick up next week.
Okay.
Try to hatch a plan. Roll against some of your skills, guys. Thank you for playing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's fun.
Trade. So.
Wheeling and dealing. This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.